evening and thanks for joining in. My name is Kip Lowry and we're going to be tying the simple stone, a very effective pattern here in Michigan for steelhead and salmon, and in the smaller sizes for trout as well. So I start with the Daiichi 1530. This particular hook is an 8. You can tie it up to a 4 or down to a 10 or 12 if you wish. I find this is pretty good standard size, the 1538. So I'm using Veevus 6/0 thread, black. We're going to go ahead and do a nice thread wrap here behind the eye. All the way to the bend. Then I'm going to come back up to behind the eye and we're going to add some mono eyes. These mono eyes are in the small size. They come on a plastic stick-like piece here, and it's molded. And you cut off a piece like so. It leaves a little spur at the end. So what I like to do is kind of cut that off, flush off so that the eyeball is exposed, and it's nice and round. So we'll go ahead and tie that in behind the eye. Even it out a little bit. Then we're going to put some legs on here. The legs are going to be the antennae. These are silly legs. These are from Cascade Crest Tool. And these are the small silicone micro legs in blue and purple fleck. So I take a pair of these, cut them off so it's about so long. Then I tie it on the back of the hook and I wind down the thread to the bend so when the barb sits hanging perpendicular to the hook shank, it's about even with the barb. Then I go back up. Oh, got some thread issues here. Bear with me 1 second. Okay. Go back up, trap those legs. Then I bring those legs up and over through the center of the eyes and in front behind the eye of the hook. Okay. Trap that in. And you can play with them later or play with them now to get them to splay right. Then I go back down towards the bend of the hook. And I like to put a little curve to this, so I wrap down just a little past the bend so it looks like so. Then I take my micro chenille or micro vernille in black, cut off a good section, okay? And then what I do, come back up about mid-abdomen, tie in the black vernille or chenille, wind down, so it looks like so, okay? Then I wind back up to mid-abdomen or just behind mid-abdomen. Go ahead and wind this up. Okay, that little bump piece there is going to head down off the thread wraps and back. That's fine. You want kind of a tapered look here to this fly. Each additional wrap is flush to the prior wrap. Right about there, we're good. Go ahead and trap and wrap. Trap and wrap. Wrap several times to secure the chenille. Cut off the excess. Okay, now we take our Swiss straw here. Cut off a piece like so. And this is the simplified version. This is just the single wing pad. You could do a triple if you want with 3 notams, a pronotum, a mesonotum, and a metanotum, and then the head region. But we're going to just do a single one here. So I take my Swiss straw, I lay it across over parallel to the hook shank at those thread wraps that I finished at. Wrap in front build a nice foundation, come back, and then bring it over. Now when I bring it over, I want to make sure it's nice and folded there, flush with the, between the micro chenille and the thread wraps in front, okay? So now we got a nice looking stone there, wing pad sheath, if you will. So what I'm going to do now is take some Ice Dub UV Black, which has purple flecks, which complements the legs real nice. And what we'll do is we'll go ahead and tie that in there for the thorax. And this has got purple and black fleck made by Hairline Dubbin. Tease out a little bit. Less is always best. Wet my fingers. It's dry this time of year. Get a nice dub on the thread. Get a nice dub base there going. Okay, then I wrap it in. Okay, wrap it in. Add some more. Got to build up a thorax. Now we want this to be non-tapered, just an even amount. Okay, but built up a little bit. We're good there. Now what we're going to do is we're going to, instead of bringing this wing pad over, we're going to actually take and create some legs. And I'm using Black Marabou, blood quill. Take out a piece here of this, like so, and I stroke it to just create the end tips of the plume, like so. And you can measure this. You don't want it to be too long or too short. So a rule of thumb is about the length of the thorax that you build. A little longer, okay? Just a little longer than the thorax region. And then you tie that in over the eyes and in between the eyes, and I transfer it from my right thumb and index finger to my left thumb and index finger, and I trap it and wrap it behind the eyes. Trap, wrap, behind the eyes, secure it, like so, okay? Now, what I do is I bring this extra plume and I twist it real tight so I can close in there and cut it. Careful not to cut the fibers that are pointed. So you got something that looks like that. And of course there's a little excess material there. You can go in there and kind of cut that down. Okay, so we're just about done here. Now what I do is I'm going to actually part these feathers, if you can see here. I'm going to part these filoplume, or these plumage feathers from the marabou, so it's even on both sides, okay? And you can wet your fingers if you want. Fold one down to the left, one down to the right. Okay, can you see that? One down to the left, one down to the right. Then I take the Swiss straw and go over the two halves between the mono eyes, and I tie in front of those mono eyes and behind the hook eye, okay? Then I take the Swiss, and I wrap that in about 4 to 5 times to secure it. Then I take the Swiss straw and go over and in between the eyes and build a head with the thread there, like so. Okay? Then what I do, you could do one of two things, whatever's easier. You can go back over and create a nice little head. What I tend to do is twist this a little bit and cut flush to the head region between the head and the thorax. Okay, so you got something that looks like that. Then you lift these antennae up, bring the thread to in front of those mono eyes and behind the hook eye, and then we whip finish it. Several good wraps to secure that. 8 or 10 or 12 wraps. Bring her down, and our fly is just about done. Cut off the Vivas thread close to the eye. Play with the antenna. Now, rule of thumb here, the legs are at least usually half the distance of the abdomen to the thorax, sometimes shorter, sometimes a little longer. So what I do is I tend to bring these up, not stretching it, because if you stretch it and cut it, it'll be too short. But bring it up so there's no stretch. Bring it up to mid-abdomen and cut. I usually cut between the, well, more the mid-abdomen, up by the head region and the back side of the start of the abdomen, wing pad rather. So between the wing pad and the head region, I cut straight across, and I got the nice tail splaying out like so, okay? And then for the antenna, I go the length of the hook shank, or from the head region to the tail end of the abdomen where it meets the cerci, or tails, if you will. Not stretching it because it'll be too short, but bringing it out long, and then I cut straight across. And you got the simple stone. Very effective pattern for steelhead, trout, and salmon. And if you can see, that's the simple stone. It's got nice little side legs here, real kind of sparse, not too heavy. You can go a little longer if you'd like. You can bring those tail fibers up to about, just behind the eye if you want. Depending on the species, some have longer tails, others are shorter, but that's pretty standard right there for a good stone. And it won't spin having longer legs on your monofilament or fluorocarbon line, for that matter, when it hits the current and tumbles a little bit. So thanks for joining in. That's the simple stone. KMF, tied with pride. Thank you.